From mellow sound of Shakuhachi, to brutal and epic battles, just simply breathtaking visuals, Assassin's Creed Shadows will be taking you on a journey of emotions. My name is Arya, and after playing the game for over 100 hours, so far anyways, and many still to go, here are my top tips and tricks for your journey in Assassin's Creed Shadows. So without further ado, let's go. For the biggest tip that I can give you is, when the game gives you the choice to play either as Yasuke or Naoe, always choose Naoe. And this is nothing to do with race or any of the nonsensical controversies that are out there. It's just that simply, Yasuke is just not an assassin. He is this giant character that just moves very stiff, is kind of like an easy mode for the game. And when it gets to kind of a later points to the game, without even doing any particular complicated build, just simply picking up weapons and that sort of thing, you can go literally into boss fights and absolutely demolish the boss without even trying. And it gets very boring, again, when it comes to movement and assassinations and that sort of thing. It just feels so out of place and is really to a massive detriment of the game, in my opinion. So unless the game asks you or forces you to play as him, avoid him. The second point is to make sure you play this game in immersive mode. And the reason I say this is, as incredible as some of the cutscenes are and detailed some of the conversations are, they frankly can be awful in English. And that kind of varies between cutscene and cutscene. And I've actually put together an example that you're going to see, and this is a very simple and straightforward one. So I've not even gone to one of the awful ones. This is just a normal conversation. And what it seems to me is, what the writers have done is they wrote it in Japanese, and then they translated it into English, and they gave it to somebody who speaks English as a second language to dub it, which is just silly, frankly. And when you have conversations, sometimes one voice actor sounds a bit more fluent in English, and then Naoe is just really awkward. It just feels out of place. So let's have a look at this example.
ジロー、怪我か？どうしたんじゃ？
かつての仲間と旧交を温めただけのこと。
そやつらと昔何があったんじゃ？雪久にも殺されかけとったじゃろう。
お主らの戦いに関わっておったことを知られてな。
小四郎, are you alright? What happened?
Just a spirited reunion with some former comrades in arms.
What is it with you and old friends? Seiji nearly ended your life too.
Members of my former learned of my role in your fight against the Ox.
For the next point is something that I actually wish I knew earlier, or shall we say paid more attention to. And that is to basically first travel to the main city of the area. The reason being is, in almost every region that I've come across so far, there is a person in that main city that gives you a quest of some sort to kill a specific type of enemy in that region. And if you have explored the region first, like I did with this example, then all the enemies of that type that you killed earlier, they don't count. So then whatever you kill after you get the mission is going to start counting, which means then you might have to then go start traveling everywhere and look for them again. So don't do what I did. And the next point is observe and mark the map. So as soon as you get an opportunity to climb up the next observation point, make sure you do that, and don't just do the quick observation that it does. Actually look around and look for the kind of a glowy white marks and get those question marks coming up on the map basically. Sadly though, it doesn't actually let you find like treasures and so on like it did in Valhalla, but still it allows you to kind of mark up these important points. So when you're navigating this massive world, you actually have a kind of a point to kind of target towards, and makes the exploration a lot easier. while we're on the subject of observation and marking, the next point is actually use eagle vision and tag your enemies. And on my controller is by pressing the right stick. And the thing with this is it just makes your experience in terms of stealth a lot easier, because it allows you to kind of see enemies even through the walls and even in the distance. So the better that eagle vision is, the more you can essentially mark. And it complements some of you, even your weapons that have boost in terms of damage for tagged enemies. So there's a lot that you can do with it. But definitely when it comes to stealth, is an absolute must, because it just allows you to see where the enemies are and how you can kind of kill them silently. While you're tagging the enemies, you will actually notice that almost 60 to 70% of the time, there's going to be two enemies standing right next to each other or close to each other or sitting next to each other as well. And in any of those scenarios, you really absolutely need the power double assassination, which is on the second line of an assassin for Naoe. And also you need a tanto. You need these, otherwise it is almost impossible to do any form of stealth in terms of Naoe. And what I would say is, if you do not have one, in terms of finding it on an enemy or from a castle or whatever, make sure you explore Izumisetsu as soon as you're obviously in that area and that sort of thing. And one of the gear vendors across Osaka or Sakai will definitely sell one. And just a bit of a tip for the latter part of the game, make sure you get Masamune's Thorn. This is going to help you get +2 health segments for double assassination. So again, when you're killing those really difficult samurais with high health, you need it, and that's found in Nochiyama Castle in Wakasa. Once again, while you have the enemies tagged, you will notice sometimes they're close, but not close enough to double assassinate them. And that's where this beauty, as you just seen, will come in handy. And that's using a gear called Two Master Gear, which is a robe that Naoe wears, which gives you power to throw a kunai at the closest enemy after an assassination. This is unbelievably handy, again, to help you get those castles done stealthily, and it's an absolute must-have in my opinion. And all you need to do is, in the first area, so very easy to get, head to Katano Castle from Hideout, which is the closest castle pretty much to the Hideout, and basically get it there. Once again, while you're roaming around in the castles and generally areas in Assassin's Creed Shadows, you will notice there are a lot of red barrels. These are incredibly handy, and when enemies are actually grouped together next to them, you can potentially take out like 3 or 4, or even 4 or 5 of them at a time. But when you get to the latter part of the game, you can actually use them as a form of basically taking down half the health of the really powerful enemies that can help you quite a bit in terms of taking them down and so on, as you can basically see. And all you need to do is just basically point at them and throw a kunai, or if you're playing with Yasuke, shoot them with your bow to be silent. For the next tip, this more so applies to the latter part of the game again, and for this one, as you kind of get to that stage, you're going to notice more and more of, especially the tough enemies, will do a constant unstoppable moves, which you can't normally parry. However, if you have the Hardened Skill, which is at the top of the katana skill tree, then that's it. That's all you need, and that is going to make your life so much easier, because then you'll be able to kind of parry the moves and essentially absolutely annihilate them. And this is not a broken technique that you just want hitting someone. This is an absolute must-have skill that you need to have as assassin, or just generally beating bosses with Naoe. For the next one, sadly, in this Assassin's Creed, your blade does not kill an enemy straight away. You have to actually upgrade it like constantly, and that's where the assassin skill tree comes into effect. And there are multiple options in there, and they have to be your absolute priority if you want to play the Assassin's Creed game like an Assassin's Creed game. So do make sure you prioritize to that unless you got a specific build in mind. For the next one is stop the red bell guy, to put it simply. And this only happens if you get caught in the castles and some of the restricted areas. And the thing with them is they essentially ring the bell, an alarm, and you don't want that to happen because this is incredibly annoying. For whatever reason, everybody under the sun finds out that you're attacking this place, which is fine. And then you get these 3 really massively powerful enemies called Guardians turning up, which again, fine. But then the main problem happens, which even if you kill everybody, and even though we're in the middle of 15th century, then you have to wait until the season finishes before essentially the alarm goes away. So pretty much everywhere that you go, people are looking for you. So honestly, just as soon as you see the bell guy, kill him. While you're exploring the map and looking for those white question marks, to be honest, most of them turn into these red markers that are for temples. And they're actually incredibly important because when you go and pray in them or find these sort of scripts, again, you can find the location by pressing on the controller the left trigger. And then once you kind of find all the scripts or do all the praise at all the necessary locations, it will give you a mastery point. So they're an absolute must in terms of building the most powerful character in the game. For the next one, while you're kind of exploring the world, mainly around bridges and main roads around towns, you're going to find these guys called Ronins. And they're actually the best source when it comes to cash, basically. And when you kill them, they usually have an absolute ton of it, where there's like 600 to even 1,000 that I've come across. So definitely, you know, when it comes to towns, kind of walk around them towards the bridges and that sort of thing on the outskirts, and you usually find 1 or 2 of them. On subject of your money, make sure you spend it wisely. And one of them is when you get the blacksmith, which is the most important building in your base, you're able to upgrade your weapons. Again, I highly recommend upgrading the blacksmith as soon as you can. But again, when it actually comes to upgrading your weapons, if you notice that the values that you've seen on the screen, only going up by 1 level is adding like 100. And you would imagine, let's just say you got another weapon that you want to keep upgrading towards a special build or whatever, and you haven't upgraded it for ages. You would imagine that will be thousands. No, it's actually, when you look at it, when you then switch it to go up to level, you know, the 46 that I'm showing you, it only shows up at 422 and 544 moon. Because there's a sort of a set amount in the game in terms of the gold that is spent on upgrades. And, well, put it simply, it's a waste to just constantly upgrade every weapon. So just stick to one weapon that you're using. And if you're looking for a special build, then upgrade it at that stage. And again, on the subject of upgrading and blacksmith, just a bit of a quick tip again. If you look at the bottom of the screen, there's an option that says Yasuke's equipment. On mine, it says press right stick. On, you know, depending on your controller, it may vary. But that actually will allow you to switch between the 2 characters so you can upgrade their own individual weapons, basically. So you don't need to actually go and switch your characters. I didn't actually initially notice this, to be honest, so bit of a handy trick. For the next tip is to use your scouts effectively. And what I mean by that is, essentially, when it comes to quests, it can sometimes take you forever to find the person or the objective that you're after. And use them for that purpose mainly. I know, you can also use them to pick up pallets in castles, and I'll get to that. And they are very useful for that, and that is also very important. but each castle can sometimes have up to like 10-12 pallets in them. And every time you want to then refill your scouts, it will cost you an absolute fortune. And imagine, there can be numerous castles in each individual area, and they only reset automatically after each season. So when it comes to castles or any area that you go after, look for stones. As you can see in the video, there is kind of like obviously stone looking pallets. They can be big or small. Make sure you only mark them because they're the primary resource, which are incredibly rare. Also make sure you upgrade your stables as soon as possible because it means you're going to use less scouts for each pallet and get more resources, but also upgrade and get the study as well because that means you're going to be getting more scouts and use them more kind of effectively and that sort of thing in terms of quests and whatnot. While you're roaming around the world of Assassin's Creed Shadows, especially on the outskirts of cities, you're going to find usually these people that are in trouble. They're either kind of being threatened by somebody, or they're talking to each other, or talking to their children, or just, you know, some form of a scenario. You can hear them or see them. If you do, either kill the guy that's threatening them, or just talk to them. But believe you me, when it comes to selecting an option, when it does give you those options, sometimes the best one that you think it is actually not the answer. It's very opposite. And even if you reload, because they're random encounters, you're not going to see them again. But they're incredibly important because they can give you information around the world. And I think World Rumor is the best option because the Scout one just simply gives you Scout back. With the World Rumor, they will give you information related to your quest and secret treasures. So definitely a must. Another one of the very important buildings in your base is Kakurega. And the thing with this one is that not only it allows you to kind of explore in terms of the options of the bases and whatnot, once you actually upgrade it to level 2, when you go to the mini bases across the map, essentially not only you have the contracts, which I highly recommend again doing because they help towards the quest and they give you money and resources, so they are very important, so look out for those. But also at the bottom where it says opportunities, once you're level 2, you can do a few per season and they will reveal the location of like certain legendary quests or shops that you missed. So say for example, like this, video that I'm showing you, I explored this entire area and I missed this particular shop. So now I went there, I picked up a contract and I revealed it. So now I can go to that location. So explorers or completionists such as myself, absolute dream. That's it for this video and I hope it has helped you. And if it has, please do smash that like button and please do subscribe. It helps support the channel and it means a hell of a lot. And it means it gives me the opportunity to spend more time giving you more videos around gaming, gaming tech and anime through just pure passion. So thank you again for watching and hope you're doing fantastic wherever you are, and peace.